Grateful to be back here. Thank you for having me back. As you might have gathered, I'm using a looper pedal this morning so I can create a little band for us. This is called Take All the Time You Need. Take all the time you need. Take all the time you need. Welcome your enemies. Take all the time you need. You're buried underneath all the rivers, rocks, and trees. I'm water when you need sunshine, sunshine. Take all the time you need to color and believe. Da 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 da. And I'm drifting off to sleep. Some Uber shifts this week. I'm here and listening from moons away. Hey, you're still you. You are enough today. You are enough. And without the sun's exposure, my insides turn to steel. The door is sunlight, sunlight, oh so real. But out the door is sunlight, oh sunlight. Who is real? Alright, I want to try something. We haven't done this before, but take all the time you need. Take all the time. Take all the time you need. If you want to sing, you go like that, same thing. Take all the time you need. Take all the time you need. Take all the time you need. Nice, that sounds good. Keep that going. Wow, I wish I could record this. It's so sweet.
Supposed to follow that. Okay, ready? Take all the time you need. It's so awesome. I really applaud your talent. My goodness, thank you. That was very sweet. How are we doing today? Anybody needed to hear that? You got all the time you need? But hurry up. Right? That's how it feels. I've been saving this joke, and I think today's the day. You ready for just a tiny bit of morbid humor? Larry Laprise, the man who wrote the Hokey Pokey, died peacefully at age 93. The most traumatic part for his family was putting him to rest in the coffin. They put his left leg in, and then all the trouble started. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All right, let's get to work here. We got a lot to do. You gotta take what you can get to lighten up, right? So we're concluding, I think. I'm concluding, because we have Sarah Rain here next Sunday, our study of our power of will, our power to choose, to commit, and to be willing. That executive power of our mind that moves all the other abilities into action. Ultimately, why are we doing this? We're learning to use these capacities from higher and higher levels of awareness. And I want to say this, that when I don't sit there anymore on Sundays, but when I used to sit there on Sundays and I would hear things like this, I would think, no, just give me the real thing, right? Like, not my choice. Like, that's me again. I got to deal with me again, right? There's got to be like this higher road. You just got to, you just raise up in a beam of light and you're spiritual. How it actually happens, at least for me, is through these practical ways of living. Like, what are the choices I'm making? What am I choosing to believe in this moment? How am I choosing to respond? Right? And so to recognize that that is even a capacity that is unique to human beings, and then that we can use that to raise our awareness that we are not mere humans. We are both human and divine. And how many of you were taught that when you went to your catechism? Half of you, I know, were there, right? And so we learned really quickly all the ways to maneuver that from our human perspective, and that's fine. I think that I want to be clear, I'm not saying that's the sinful part, and no, it's all part of it. It's just limited. And so as we learn how we can use these capacities from higher and higher levels, that is how we grow spiritually. It's really practical. I know it's so practical, sometimes it's like, no, I don't want to have to be the one that still does it. So really what I think the key to spiritual growth is that we become as familiar with our own spiritual nature as we are with our human personality. Boy, we are really good at that. We know that. And we know how yours drives me crazy, right? From a spiritual perspective, that fades away. And it does not mean you run roughshod over people or you allow that to happen. And I'll get to that. But to recognize that, well, I guess I have to say the whole thing. The key to spiritual growth is that we become as familiar with our own spiritual nature as we are with our human personality. And here's the thing. One is limited and doesn't know it, and the other is infinite, and that takes us nearly our whole life to know. Do you get that? And we have to do some work because we've been trained and entrenched in the limited. It's not just someone's going to do it for you. Sprinkle. It takes time. It takes dedication. It takes practice. And the good thing is you can start again. Again, I don't have an understanding of God that's like, one more and you're out. No. Meets you right where you are. Let's love and understanding and compassion meets us right where we are. If we let that in, that's usually the first step, right? So a few things are required for us to do this. It's required that we first and foremost even seek a higher level of consciousness. There are plenty of people that don't even, like, this is it. And I'm not judging them. They'll figure it out, right? I won't tell you how long it took me to really dive into it more deeply. So we have to be willing. Are we even wanting to make that choice to discover higher levels of our own awareness? To have greater awareness around our limitations and a desire to know more. Basically, do we have a desire to expand? Last week I shared that the Greek word that is translated as heaven was originally expansion. The expansion of our awareness. And this brings the realization that the things of this world are temporary, they're fleeting. And the same part of us that turns to those things for fulfillment really wants something that is permanent. Our egoic mind likes to have things predictable and permanent. And so when people change and circumstances change, you know what we do then? We grasp onto our ideas and our beliefs. You're not going to change those. That's not fun, is it? It's not fun on either side. We erroneously fix our thoughts and our beliefs, and we get those set in stone in hopes of relieving some of that terror that life is changing, life is fleeting. But it also cuts us off from the flow of life and growth. From that expansion, from that experience of heaven on earth, expansion through our own awareness and consciousness. It also requires us, and we've been doing this the past few weeks, and if you weren't here, you can start anytime, and perhaps you already have. It requires us to have an understanding of God as expansive, right? We have to be able to trust that source that we are ultimately trying to connect with. And more people, if you don't have baggage with God, bless your heart. I mean, good for you. That is one of the things that I kind of lucked out because I wasn't raised in a tradition, but I knew there was something more, right? But so I don't have as much baggage as some people who grew up in traditional Christianity in particular. So you have to do the work of realizing how that image has limited your understanding and then how it would limit your growth. What are you growing towards? This judgmental, angry man God? No. Most people say no. Right? And more people are speaking up about the pain and the confusion that they have suffered in the name of that punishing, punitive, racist, homophobic, misogynistic, patriarchal God. And those are challenging and hurtful constructs on their own. And then you associate them with God. You take away, you have the power to, as a religious organization, people's connection with their own source. Is that not heartbreaking? Yeah. And we can choose whether we believe that or not. And I know you're here and you don't believe that, or you're working to expand those beliefs. They hurt us all, right? And again, it shows the power that we have in the direction of love and good or hate and separation. That's the power. And it impacts our life and it impacts our collective life. So in my understanding, that has been humanity trying to make God in our image. Oops! Darn it! Projecting what we don't understand, projecting what makes us uncomfortable, projecting, and the other thing about human beings is we want someone to blame. And we want to know why. Why did this happen? I need to know why this happened and who did it. Travis did it. Welcome. It's good to see you. Right? And so we have to acknowledge that's part of learning our limitations. And then we can make another choice. There is always a choice. You can believe in a God that is for love, or you can believe in a God that condones hate. And that seems like a no-brainer to me. And that is why I'm here. That is why unity is so impactful to me, and I hope you, that we actually teach and believe that God is love, and that you are all expressions of that. And even the people, God forbid, who aren't here. Even the people in the temples and the kiosks. Especially those poor people at the kiosk. The mosques. Thank you, yes. Power to the kiosk. No, I don't mean that. So, we really teach that we are all made in the image and likeness of that God of perfect love. And of all those other capacities that we're learning about, right? And we leave no one out. Literally, we leave no one out because we don't believe in a God that leaves anybody out. The religions created by humans have done that, not God. And so when you hear, as I know you probably are, the voices revving up, stand firm in your truth that your God is of love. Because voices are rearing up, aren't they? I do feel called to, I wasn't going to do this, which always is tricky, but I want to speak to a quote that I read last week. And if you weren't here, I'll read it again. And I want to thank the person who came up to me afterwards and said, you know, that's the same thing they're saying in the white Christian National Church. And I was like, oh my God, what? And we tried to remember the quote, and I was like, no. But then I went back and I read it. It was from Eric Butterworth in 1979, right? And I was teaching about how Jesus was speaking to the hypocrites of his time, who were the religious... Oh God, one of these days my words are all going to come back. Thank you. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the religious hierarchy of his time in the Jewish tradition. Jesus said to them, you are hypocrites because you actually shut the kingdom against your people when you should be opening it up for more of them. This is Eric Butterworth's words. He said, religion went on to become, you could say, and still is in some ways, a spectacle that you witness, a ritual to observe, a performance of sort. The church should be a space of learning, a place to discover and research and feel the deep potential within ourselves. And this was the line that I got some feedback about. The only reason the church should exist at all is as an instrument to motivate people to stir up their innate power to save the world. That could be said in a white Christian nationalist church. And the saving of the world is minimizing it to white Christians, preferably straight. We could add lists to it. That is not what I'm saying. But it's important, I hear speak more to that, right? What I'm saying is that we have the capacity within us, and that's what I want to be doing here with you, is stirring that capacity so that you believe it, you trust it, you know it. And you can stand firmly in the face of someone or some conflict and know your truth. That's what will save the world. And it gets tricky, right? Because my truth is not your truth. It's not your truth. I don't have your experience. I can't say it's either this or it's that. It's so nuanced. Why you react the way you do because of the past you've had, the choices you've made. who am I to judge that? And I know from previous talks that we judge ourselves the hardest, right? There's part of us that doesn't believe we have that capacity, is there not? And that world that will have its way with us will say, you're right, sit down and take a number and buy some beauty cream. That's right, I threw that in. I just threw that in. So, I want to be, I could say more about that, but I think I made my point. And that is why, too, this is a good lead-in, that we really need to use our power of choice, our power of will, alongside those great powers of wisdom and understanding, so that we are not just my way or the highway, look out. We know how willful how that goes, right? Let me ask you this, if you dare, if I asked you today, would you say you need to work on perhaps being a little less willful? Raise your hand. The opposite of that is that you give your power to other people and make them, oh, shoot, you got a tie. Oh, shoot, okay. Right? So that is needing to build your power, right? That you have your own power to choose. You have the capacity to make good choices and the right to make good choices. And sometimes we do that for a variety of reasons why we give our power away. To help sometimes. And it ends up taking from us. And we make choices for ourselves that aren't always in our best interest. So greater wisdom and understanding about our own human and spiritual nature are crucial for this realization that God is not the cause of our problems. God does not will problems our way as punishment or to teach us a lesson, in my understanding. God is the infinite potential for good and growth and love and healing in every situation. Things happen for a variety of reasons. Sometimes we even know we played a part in them. And we still say, God, where were you? So I encourage you all to continue freeing up your idea, your connotation, your concept of God, and call it a different name if you need to, in order to deepen your connection and relationship in meaningful ways with the parts of you where you feel it, where you connect, where you hear it, where you are inspired, where you know an idea comes to you that is not really yours, but that you've been open up. You're releasing some of that willfulness to receive divine inspiration. Because our ultimate goal is the full realization that the will of God is indeed for the good of all. Starting with you, starting with me, but never to the exclusion of someone else. That's when we know that's our voice. Right? And I want to say that this does not mean we're perfect. This does not mean we don't have human shortcomings. Of course we do. We all do. What it is saying is we are empowered to do the courageous work of healing and growing in those areas, taking responsibility for those. And allow a connection with that source, that intelligence, that love, to guide you and strengthen you and steady you in that process, not avoid it. So I'm going to switch gears slightly, and then we're going to do a meditation. I'll know who's been doing the reading. What drives our power of will or our choices? Come on, Janet. You? Okay. You always have your book. You always have your book in your hand. What drives the choices and our commitments that we make? Desire. Bing, 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 bing. Another word you got to unpack, don't you? Passion. Great. Another word. That desire has been, I'm not talking about sex. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that either. But we desire all sorts of things, right? Just from shelter and belonging and intimacy and purpose and things that are food. So I want to also save that concept of desire, because it's really powerful to recognize that it is a spiritual force. That what speaks to you now. You don't just say, I'm a child of God, I just go drink 7,000 bottles of beer and have sex with everybody. No. Moderation, all the things that you've already learned, right? Shoot, I lost my train of thought. Desire, thank you. Moves our will, moves our choices, moves our commitment. And as we trust that, we trust that there is something unique. Our imprint of the divine expressing is unique through us. It's unique through the creative ways that you all show up. And so we sense that as a desire. To serve, to connect, to dance, to make whatever it is. And the world says you can't make money at that. Or you're not good enough at that, or you're too old for that, or you're too young, right? Trust that calling through what calls to you, what captures your attention. Follow it. Desire is... I love what Reverend Linda Martella Whitsitt summarizes, that our choosing power of will is ultimately our ability to desire one possibility among infinite possibilities. There's enough for all of us. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. So desire is not a sin, it is innate to us all. Acting on every human desire can be problematic, but the nature of desire itself is not bad. It really is the driver of what the choices that we make. We cannot have what we do not want. It doesn't even show up as a possibility. Right? So that's how you begin to think, okay, I can make a choice by what I even think is possible. Desire often springs from dissatisfaction, that divine discontentment that's the result of our mistaking our personal desires as the sum motivation of life. It's only part of it. Discontent naturally gives rise to desire. When you're uncomfortable, you want to do something different. You want to make a different choice. That's a good thing. But it requires us to make a commitment and be willing to try something new, to stop thinking or doing that same thing. Linda Martella says this, that ever-evolving divine life demands increase and expansion of consciousness. It demands that we are never done understanding and growing if we want to rise to that level. At the heart of all humanity is a divine discontent that propels us toward more conscious, intentional, spiritual living. And so that spiritual living, just like we learn all the things we do in our human living, takes time. It takes learning. It takes practice. And it takes a willingness. And if it's hard, keep doing it. If it's your voice or your mom's voice or your husband's voice you hear, keep doing it. There's another voice, a still small voice that you recognize. So we're going to take some time in meditation. I'll lead you through. Actually, Linda Martella has a great meditation on this, and I'm going to adapt a little bit for this time in meditation. So I invite you to take a breath, and we'll try to make this a personal experience for you. Bringing the singing bowl that's tuned to our heart chakra, an invitation to drop from our head to our heart. And just take a breath. And just invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze if that's comfortable for you. Take in a deep breath. Feeling your feet on the ground, the chair supporting you. Maybe sitting upright a little bit to really kind of connect and open up this part of your head, right? We're grounded and we're receiving. We're opening up. That front part of our brain, which we connect the energy vortex of the power of spiritual will. So you might just focus your internal eye in that direction. The color associated with will is silver. You might even see a silver light beaming from above into that region of your head, activating this area where we make choices and engage our will. Continuing to focus on your breath. Allow you to make these words your own. Centered in spiritual will, my ability to choose, to commit, and to be willing. I affirm my capacity to choose. And I call in the guidance, the companions of understanding, wisdom, and imagination to be able to draw from infinite possibilities one divine idea. One thing that lands in your awareness, catches hold of you. This is appearing as your desire in this moment. So let that become rooted in your awareness. Whatever this idea is that is making its way into your awareness. And affirm your capacity to commit to a path ahead. I will be a blessing, or I will live as the light of the world. I will, you can insert your specific commitment there. And imagine that you're setting upon a course of action that supports that choice. You're opening up to new choices, new actions. And you have the capacity to live in integrity, honoring those commitments and holding yourself accountable to do what you say you will do. So just invite you to affirm your willingness. I am willing. I am willing to remain attuned to the source of all good. I'm willing to allow life to unfold and to cooperate with the impulse of my divine identity. I'm willing to be centered, unruffled as time passes and light continues to shine on my path. I'm willing to stretch beyond perceived limits. I'm willing to risk being vulnerable in love. I'm willing to listen without feeling threatened. Above all else, I am willing to be purposeful, to know that I am divine in nature. I am willing to be the light of the world, wherever I am and whatever the circumstances. And if you find resistance in any of those I'm willing statements, just come back and spend some time with why that is. It's usually some fear or some pain or some confusion. So that deserves some more time. But as you go forth today, take note of how many choices you make. And that there's always a step up to higher levels of understanding that can guide those choices. And again, just gratitude is so important. What we appreciate appreciates. So just give gratitude for wherever you are in that process. If you don't feel willing, don't beat yourself up about it. Maybe you're willing to just explore why you're not willing. Willing to explore why you so easily give away your own choices. That's where you start. So allow you to take a moment to give thanks internally for your growing awareness and your innate capacity to grow beyond all human limits, starting within your awareness.
by one of who I thought I was, where your soul belongs. Questions come one by one of who I thought I was, where your soul belongs. Questions come one by one of who I thought I was, where your soul belongs. Questions come one by one of who I thought I was.
I just kind of want to take you home with me. Have you just keep me in that zone. This feels really great. Your voice is so sweet. I just love it. Thank you. Yeah, the boy, who you thought you were. It's great when you're not that. Even though it's hard. It just keeps expanding, keeps expanding, keeps expanding. Now is the time in our service where we give of our good in support of what we do here at Unity Spiritual Center Denver, which is all funded by your donations completely. Do I want to say something about that? I kind of do. I was thinking, here's what I want to say. I feel like I've been talking a lot about making distinctions between unity and traditional Christianity. Which has served a great number of people. And so I certainly do not mean to... someone once told me, don't blow out anyone's altar candle if you can't relight it. Right? So no worries. That's not the purpose. I'm just trying to kind of excavate some of what I want to teach and what I think is of value to all of us from some of that baggage and that dogma that so many have left. Because they've also in some ways left their own spiritual connection. They don't have a community to do that with, right? Which I'm hoping is what we're building here. And so I've been talking about the powers that be, right? In Jesus' day, they're still here. And so what I love about unity is the foundation of our teaching, which is that all people are inherently good because they come from good. We make poor choices and we can do that. We can make new choices all the time. But we also don't have like this huge power structure behind us that has millions of dollars, like some of the Catholic churches it's just a fact. And so I want you to know that what you're giving here is going toward what we're doing here. Right? And it really matters. And so I know many of you do that generously and regularly, and I thank you for that. But I want to be clear that that's not kind of what you're supporting. It's some big power, unless you want to, you can, but that's not what's happening here. And so all that you give here goes to all that we do here. And so thank you for that. There are baskets in the back where you can leave your cash and check when you leave. There's also a QR code in your bulletin where you can learn how to give electronically. Many of you do that. We thank you for that. So however you are giving today, and if you've given online, you can just bless that with us today. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. I am thankful. We get another song.
All right, y'all, we're going to start building back the energy a little bit. I'm feeling nice and relaxed. Is anyone else feeling pretty relaxed? Feeling chill. But this is a new song. It's called Free Yourself. There's so much I could say about what you shared today, Trish. In the meditation, I was thinking about how can I serve was the thing that came through. I'm sure I could think of a bunch of little desires for my human self, but then when I just kept it general, how can I serve, how can I be nice when I talk to the next person, and not think about, service instead of what's in it for me. I feel better that way, so we're going to stick with that for the rest of today. This is Free Yourself. I drove to Colorado before the sun even hit the pavement. My mission is not a competition. When I'm patient, I'm no longer waiting for my coincidence of fate. I'll do what it takes to see the dream unfold, studying the greats. Be as if synchronicities appear along the way. The patterns in nature wink as if to say, well on my way. Following the breadcrumbs and then some, connected to my future cause it is done. Learning a few new tricks about how to mix and make the music. I paint my own picture, opinions from my past to linger. Believe it I can, believe in the plan. The universe has a canvas with one brush and two hands. Can I really be a singer, songwriter, peacemaker, true fighter? The burning monk keeps me alive even when it's brighter. Jealousy is just being inspired. Free yourself to free everyone else. Free yourself to free everyone else. You're free. Be yourself, don't be anyone else. Be yourself, don't be anyone else. Permission is given. No one to blame for my position. If you want to dream, believe in a vision. Keep tabs on yourself, no one else. Success isn't achieved, it is felt. Minimal regrets if nothing else deciding it was possible. My first and only obstacle. At the root of it, I just want to be true to you. And the music. Everywhere I go, I remember that I choose it. You can hold on, but can you let go? Don't wanna be seen, I wanna be known for being me. My legacy intuitively has been guiding me sustainably to inner peace. Free yourself to free everyone else. Free yourself to free everyone else. You're free to get out of your own way. Get out of your head. Write a different story where the end is just your beginning. If you can find your melody, you can have it all. If you just believe you're ready, receive your greatest joy. Be free. Oh, yeah. You're free. Yes, free yourself to free everyone else. 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 Free yourself to free everyone else.